Ed, why don't we examine the evidence for and against this schema, this core belief that I'm defective? What would you put on the pro side, the evidence in favor of the proposition that you are?
That why I am defective?
Yeah. I mean, imagine yourself to be the prosecutor, and the charge is proving that you're defective. What evidence would you line up there to prove the case?
Well, you know, it's been turning around a little bit in the last few weeks, but I was messing up my job.
Mm-hmm.
I messed up the relationship with Gwen. You know, I was divorced at 27, and you know, that failed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my whole background, my whole life, I've always felt like, you know, there's that piece of me that's just gonna always just kind of fall off. The shoes are gonna come off, and I'm just gonna be toast. It's gonna be bad. That's the main pieces.
Okay, and the only evidence that kind of is historical is the divorce. There's nothing further back that you want to add on to this?
Yeah, I had problems in college. I had problems with athletics. I had, you know, problems at various times, you know, in terms of performance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the second half of my freshman year, I just really did badly. You know, and I was sure I was going to flunk out. But it's more.
High school?
Well, I did okay, but I didn't feel as smart as a lot of people, you know. I always felt like I was much worse off, and especially my friend Kevin and his family, you know, they were so capable. They were a strong source for me, but they were also, it's like, I'm not that good.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Elementary school?
I got through it. It was okay. No major failures, but...
So the best you can remember was that as an elementary school student, you were perfectly capable and competent and as with it as the rest of your classmates?
No, I wasn't. I was in gym class. I was, you know, I didn't do so well in some things.
Okay.
My math wasn't that great. You know, I got C's. I mean, I didn't get A's and B's, and you know, so those things weren't good. And when those happened, I always felt like, you know, there's something wrong with me.
Okay. Anything in your background or pedigree you want to add to this? Are you a legacy defective in any way?
Well, as I told you before, my family was really a mess. And yeah, this is a little harder, a little embarrassing, because my dad was really angry and hurt us a lot. And my mom was just gone a lot. I think she was away drinking, frankly. We didn't really know that, but so I always got the sense that I'm one of them. Mm-hmm. You know, and it's why I always like to be at my friend Kevin's house, because they weren't like that, you know, and it did make me feel better to be there.
Okay. So you've got a pretty good circumstantial case that you have had recurrent problems.
Right.
In your life.
And I'm no good.
Okay. I'm not convinced that actually comes to the conclusion that you're no good, but I am convinced that you've come to that conclusion, at least for periods.
At times I have, that's right.
So what would you say now in the other role as the defense attorney? What's the evidence against the proposition that you're just plain defective?
Well, I haven't just, you know, lost everything. Mm-hmm. Like I think I'm going to sometimes, like especially this last time. Mm-hmm. So at work, I've at least, you know, I've maintained a decent job, and I guess I wasn't so right about this last time, thinking that, you know, I was going to get fired.
Mm-hmm. Do you think an outside expert looking at your life would say that you're accurately assessing your strengths inventory when you say, have maintained a decent job? Do you think there might not be some damnation with faint praise there?
I don't know. I'm not the editor of the paper.
Okay.
You know.
And how old is your editor?
He's 55, I think, or 6.
And how old are you?
Well, I'm 44.
Okay.
But if you're really good at, if you're don't have problems, you can move on pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm. And you've actively pursued editorships?
Well, no, I've enjoyed this job.
Okay. So you've enjoyed your job, and somewhere along the line, I had some recollection that you'd actually succeeded at it.
Well, I have had that, a few awards.
Mm-hmm.
I got a regional award for the world sections, and it was amongst a few major newspapers in the region. Okay. I don't know. I tend to not make much of those things, though. They give them out. They give them to people.
You've tended to make a lot out of having trouble in your job as indication in favor of the proposition of you being defective.
Right. Things can go wrong, right.
And so here we have that you're an award-winning journalist.
Well, that sounds a little strong for me, but it sounds kind of nice.
Okay. Well, you have won awards.
Yeah, I have. I've won some regional awards.
Okay.
Yeah.
What other evidence do you have that you're not defective?
With my job, or
just in? I've asked you. I've employed you as your defense attorney. I want you to mount a case.
Well, I did, even though track had some problems for me. I ended up lettering in track in college, but I was never as good as some of the guys.
Okay.
While the relationship with Gwen ended, I thought it went well for a while, and I was told by her that she liked a lot of the things I did, and where we'd go for dinner and how I'd do things like that for her. So I guess there's been some successes mixed in there, but it still comes back to haunt me about this other side.
So you've got some success in your relationships, in your intimate relationships.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just relationship failures and divorces.
Well, I don't know. Gwen's not around. I think of my daughter. She's a real source of strength to me, and we really like each other. We have a good time together, so that's a good thing.
Okay. And that somehow or another goes against you're defective?
Yeah, she when she says things to me that I do this or this well, or on Father's Day she gives me a gift, I believe she means it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anything else? We've got award-winning journalist, college athlete, has had successful intimate relationships, loving father.
Yeah, I think that those are things that are good on that side. I think that makes.
Let me ask you this. If your core belief has been that underneath it all, I'm just plain defective, and if you think about kind of the core belief, over top of that, you have all of these accomplishments in life and successes and so forth. But when one of those is struck down, when a bad break happens, when there's a setback in your relationships or in your work, right there's the core belief again.
Yeah, that's right.
It's like pushed through.
Right.
I'm wondering, let's brainstorm a little bit. We've got evidence that the core belief isn't accurate.
Well, we have evidence on both sides, but that it's not. It's not. I guess it's not totally accurate.
I was thinking the time that you said you like to see things as black and white, and it looks to me like the I'm defective here is the black, and the I'm a great guy with many areas of skill and competence would be the white, and we don't have too much trouble with you on that end, but that actually a more balanced truth about yourself is somewhere in between. Can you think of kind of an alternate name for this schema that takes into account both your strengths as well as your troubles?
You mean like I'm a guy with some strengths and some weaknesses?
That's a good start.
Yeah, that's probably right. That's probably more accurate.
Okay. I'm just thinking that if you face a hard break in life, that if you were able to be guided by the belief, I'm a guy with strengths and weaknesses who has troubles but gets past it and moves on in life and has some success, that might organize a better response than I'm defective.
Yeah, it'd certainly be better than going where I go with I'm defective. I just feel like crap when that happens.